It is campaign season, and presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton is rolling out her plan to solve the nation's student loan crisis. Decode DC reporter Liz Scheltens is here with the pros and the cons of the plan, Liz. And Hillary Clinton wants to find a way for students at public universities to pay for college without taking out loans. You can almost hear the cheers across the country, but how does she propose to do that?
Well, really, Brian, to understand how she wants to upend the student loan system, you have to take a look at the way it works right now. So right now, college students, in order to pay their tuition, they go to the federal government and they take out loans. They take those loans to the college or university of their choice, and then when they graduate, they pay back the federal government. Now, Hillary Clinton's plan proposes to basically take the federal government out of the student loan game altogether when it comes to paying for public universities. And here's the way she wants to do that. She wants to take the money that would go to an individual student in the form of a loan and instead give that money directly to the states. So for example, give that money directly to the state of Oklahoma in the form of a grant, which then the state could use to pay the university for that student's tuition. So it really is a total departure from the way we do student loans right now.
So that money would go almost directly to the university itself, but would the student or the colleges have to do anything to get that money?
Well, you know, Ryan, there's always a catch, and this is no exception. First of all, the plan only applies for students who are going to be paying tuition at state colleges and universities, not private colleges and universities, although Clinton's plan does offer some options for refinancing student loans for students who may have attended private colleges in the past and still have debt. The states have to do two things if they want to get the money. First, they have to guarantee that students are not going to have to take out any loans in order to pay their tuition at these colleges and universities. The second thing they need to do, and this is really important, is the states have to promise to stop cutting state funding for higher education. And this has been an enormous problem across the country since the recession, particularly in Oklahoma. Per pupil funding for higher education has decreased by 24% since 2008 in Oklahoma. And what that means for students and families is that they are taking on an enormous burden when it comes to tuition.
Well, the money has to come from somewhere, so how does Hillary Clinton plan to pay for it, and how much would it cost?
Well, it's not going to come cheap. $350 billion over the course of 10 years. And the way that she's proposing to pay for it is this. She wants to limit how much wealthy families can deduct in the form of itemized tax deductions. So families can deduct for medical expenses, mortgage payments, investments. Her plan proposes to limit those types of deductions, take that money that the federal government would then save and put it towards this plan of giving direct grants to states and help using that to pay for tuition for students.
Well, we know right now at least more and more students are defaulting on their debt. They are moving back into their own parents' homes in order to pay off their student loans. What kind of effect might this plan have?
Well, I think that the campaign is hoping for a couple of things. First of all, if students don't necessarily have this increased burden of student debt that they're having to pay as soon as they graduate from college, that might give them a little bit more flexibility to enter the job market and then buy a house or a condo or a car, put that money back into the economy and kind of get things flowing again. But there is unfortunately one thing that the candidate's plan does not address, and it's this, that just because college is more affordable, that doesn't necessarily mean that more students are going to complete college. The U.S. is actually ranked 19th out of 28 developed countries when it comes to college completion, and that's largely the result of low-income, first-generation students who go into college and then aren't given the support that they need. So Hillary Clinton's plan, as you said before, Brian, getting a lot of attention and earning praise across the country for the reduced student debt portion, but really doesn't do much to address this problem of completion. Affordability helps, but it's certainly not the whole story. That's actually something that we've been reporting a lot on our podcast, Decode DC, which you can find by visiting the iTunes store, going to podcast and searching Decode DC.
Okay, Democratic candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders both touching on education on their platforms. Liz Scheltens from Decode DC, thank you so much for joining us.